Hello, everyone. In preparation for my talk to the IEEE Society and ACM Society of Chennai, that is the Chennai chapter of these organizations, I'm preparing a brief intro to one of the tools that I'll be introducing as part of the talk. This talk will be in English, but I might also throw in some French, but uh, please be aware that I'll be translating everything from French into English always. So without further ado, let's get started. So this is a 2x2 that was introduced by Neil Pastricha, at least to me. It was a newly it's a company. So Neil Pastricha introduced this 2x2 matrix, and that was the first time I saw it. And this 2x2 matrix is about how we can improve our decision making, and at the same time reduce stress levels when it comes to decision making. As you know, we have to make a whole lot of decisions throughout a particular work week. And so it is of significant interest to organizations as to how decision making can be improved. And so this is one of the tools that can be used for improving decision making, and it is similar to the Eisenhower matrix. So let's take a look at this tool. So in this tool, as you will see, you have some stuff on the x-axis and some stuff on the y-axis. So on the x-axis, we have importance. So we categorize decisions as being of low importance or of high importance. Company. So some decisions like, say, buying a home are of high importance, whereas other decisions like whether to take the first right turn or the second right turn to get to work are of low importance. Company, you understand? A company just means do you understand in French, right? So, okay. So low importance and high importance, that is the x-axis, right? So out here on the x-axis. And I don't think you're able to see my pointer, that's fine. On the y-axis, we have, here it is, here's the pointer, okay. Then on the y-axis over here, we have decision-making time. So some decisions take a lot of time to take. Like for instance, the purchase of a home can take a lot of time. And, it's a natural que nous. So it is natural that we spend a lot of time in the truly weighty decisions in order to make them correctly, in order to make sure that it comes out in our favor, etc. But some decisions are actually low time decisions. That is, in terms of the y-axis, they will come lower down. So that is, we have some decisions like say the decision of whether to take a right turn or not, or take the first right turn or the second right turn when going to work, or the first left into Oracle Parkway when you're trying to turn into Oracle Parkway, or not. These are the sort of decisions that don't take a lot of time. You accomplish the decision making in seconds, and those are the low time decisions, right? So now, why is all this stuff important? So say it's your birthday and you get 147 WhatsApp messages, right? And you get 3 surprise cakes and a questionable maybe karaoke performance even. But by the next day, it is just Tuesday again, and your happiness, the happiness that you had on your birthday is gone, right? So if you want to, I'm sure you can relate to that. So you're happy one day and the next day it's all gone, right? And the question then is, how do we increase happiness levels on a more long-term basis, right? Or maybe, you had a weekend where you did nothing and felt amazing. And then a weekend came along where you did everything and still felt exhausted at the end of it, right? Turns out how you spend your time and why you spend your time matters more than how much time you have. And that is also one of the interesting aspects of long-term happiness. How you spend your time matters a lot, right? So if we want to somehow carve out more time so that we start doing those things that will lead to greater happiness, then we should maybe be very interested in this topic of how to reduce decision-making time, which is something this tool will help in. And also, this tool will also help us make better decisions, so we are actually better positioned in life in general. So comprehensive is just, you understand, right? We all want to have a good life, Nispa, isn't it? Like, we all want to have a good life, but we all only have 24 hours in the day. We only have 7 days in the week, so a total of 168 hours during a week, and that is all that is given to all of us. So how do we make decisions so that they are both time optimal and also better quality, such that they improve our own quality of life? Number one, and number the quality. How do we improve the quality of the decisions? So once you have categorized decisions like this, so let's say we have this thought experiment. We go over an entire week and we note down each and every decision we take, and we categorize them as being, of low importance or of high importance, low time consumption or high time consumption, and we drop them all into this 2 by 2. So some decisions might come here in this quadrant, and some decisions might come here. So say you're purchasing a house that is of high importance, might take a lot of time, so it's out here. But some decisions are of low importance and they take very little time. Like, for instance, whether you're going to take the first right turn or the second one, and they might come out here, right? Out here. And then there is low high and high low as well. So all the 4 combinations are possible. So I would like to first of all say that I like Neil Pasricha's talk a lot, but I'm going to critique his matrix. Okay, I'm going to offer my own thoughts on what are some good ways to make decisions. Okay, so let's take a look at the decisions out here. The decisions that are of low importance and also that take low amounts of time. An example of this might be driving to work. So Neil Pasricha says the thing to do is, let's say you're driving to work, is to automate your decisions if possible, or stuff that is in this category you should automate. But I have a different perspective on that. Okay, so the perspective I have on that is, like, I would also add a third axis, or at least factor into account the urgency of the decision. If the decision is of low urgency and it is of low importance, then the right thing to do is to try to eliminate it altogether. Like, for instance, you might be getting 100 plus emails a day. So you want to maybe just eliminate some of those emails, just drop them directly into your trash first thing in the morning, so you don't have to even think about it, right? That's one strategy. Another strategy is to use filters, so they get automatically filtered into various folders in your email inbox. And then if they happen to be of low importance, then you can just review them later, right? What Neil Pasricha says is not a bad idea, but in my opinion, the consideration of whether it is low urgency or high urgency also matters. Now, if it's a decision that is of low importance and high urgency, then what do we do? Well, first of all, if it is of low importance and of high urgency, like, for instance, you just, let me give you this example of a decision that I personally had to make, low importance and but high urgency. So this had to do with fixing a washing machine in our house. Another example is we had rats in our home and we lived in Boston, and we had to solve that problem. It's actually a low importance problem because you can actually live with a home with rats in them. But it at one point of time became like a high urgency item because the rats started, like, gnawing various things. And so now we are in a situation where, various things in the house. We had a home in we were renting an apartment in Brooklyn, Massachusetts. And so we had these rats, and they were chewing up stuff. So it suddenly became an urgent thing to do, right? So the ideal thing is we never want to get into those types of situations at all, because you typically want to mostly stay in this zone of high importance, right? You want to mostly stay here. You want to spend as little of your time out here as possible, right? So, so what I would recommend is, yes, you can automate some of the stuff that occurs in this quadrant, and that's fine. Like for instance, if you're driving to work, you can maybe use Google Maps, or you can use Waze or any of the other map apps to help you get there. So you can automate it, but not all decisions can actually be automated. And I would even recommend that if it is a low urgency and low importance decision, then eliminate it. And if it is a low importance and high urgency situation, then try not to get into that situation at all. Maybe delegate it, ask someone else to do it, right? So this actually uses the Eisenhower matrix idea and combines it with Neil Pastricia's idea. But I would even say that programming is something that people should always consider when it comes to things that need to be automated. And so where we have experience in Fulmo Technologies is building these types of platforms which can automate a lot of tasks, thereby saving you time. So then comes the next quadrant. So we have tasks that are of low importance but take a lot of time. An example of this might be the one I believe Neil Pastricia gives in his book. I could be mistaken, but take any household chore would do. It's of low importance, but the time taken, say, to fix a washing machine or a leaky faucet might be maybe long. So nous avons le temps pour so we have the time we take to engage in the decision-making process. Should I do this with the faucet, or this with the washing machine, that with the washing machine, that with the faucet? You have to fiddle around with a lot of different things, and the decision-making time itself is long, but it's just a leaky faucet, so it's not a super important problem, because you can have a dripping faucet for even a couple of weeks if you so choose, right? So what Neil Pastricia says is regulate it. Maybe try to do all of it during the same time during the same time of the week, say Saturdays. I just allocate Saturdays to get it all done, and then you're done. So that's a good idea, and I like it. But I would again say that it's important to categorize it in terms of urgency. So as long as it's of low importance, even if it is of high decision-making time, if it is of low urgency, then just eliminate it if possible. If it is of low importance and high urgency, then try to delegate it. Try to get someone else to do it. And regulate also could work. I mean, you could try to do all of it at a given point of time. If you don't have the money, say, to delegate it, say, for instance, in India, we're able to get household help, so you can delegate a lot of tasks. But that may not be possible in America, so you may have to regulate it more often there. So both delegation and regulation, so we have words for that in French, but I won't go there. But what I was saying was, whether it is regulate or delegate, they're nice sounding words. They even rhyme a little bit. So whether you delegate or regulate, just make sure that you're doing that consciously and mindfully, as I say. Mindfulness seems to be this buzzword these days. So everything is supposed to be done mindfully. So yeah, please do it by all means mindfully. You understand. So just try and see if it's something that should be regulated or delegated. Okay. Then now comes like the really interesting stuff. So what about high importance decisions? So decisions of high importance, you can, if they take low amounts of decision time, so what he says is effectuate, which is just to get it done. So just like an example he gives is of checking emails and replying to them. So he's got a great example there. I think that is a really great idea of how to manage emails efficiently. He says just one person he knows, he checks emails just once a day between 3 and 4, and he answers all emails then. And if an email comes after 4 o'clock, then he says they shouldn't have any expectation that the email will be answered. They should expect to get an answer only the next day. And so, and the next day, for instance, there's example. So he's got this example of this person. I also know another person who checks emails only once a day and checks it in the morning, never checks it again. And if someone even sends an email later, they might check it later in the day and reply to them, but they may not. So, that's another strategy that you could use. So I think it's just a really good idea to just check all email just once a day and just be done with it. And I personally prefer the late evening approach where you just check your email between 3 and 4 p.m. And whoever sends an email after that can just wait until the next day to get a reply, right? And I sometimes check email first thing in the morning as well. So that means, I check email twice a day, but then it's always in blocks of time where I have specially allocated time to check email, and I don't check email outside of those hours typically. So effectuate, yeah, it's a great strategy, especially for high importance and low decision time decisions. And low decision time decisions also tend to be of you know if they are high importance and they're of low decision time, then there are things you can just get done really quickly. So it's also kind of good things to get done. It feels good to have gotten a whole bunch of decisions taken, say for instance, on a bunch of emails, right? And again, you can add the urgency axis to this. You can ask whether this decision is of high urgency or low urgency. And typically, you want to stay really in the zone of low urgency and high importance. So this is that part of the Eisenhower matrix where you see low urgency and high importance. And I try to stay in the zone as much as possible so that I don't end up, spending all my time taking care of low importance items, right? So high importance, low urgency, and preferably low decision making time, then you're good. You don't have to make a lot of decisions, just keep making progress, right? If it is high importance and high urgency, then of course it might be something like a crisis situation. Say your father got caught up in a traffic accident, he's bleeding, and you have to go and help. Well, that's high importance and high urgency. So you just can't really avoid it. So you pretty much, for those decisions, you may have to drop whatever you're doing and just go and tackle that issue. So we have these high importance, high urgency type of situations that need to be, nous avons la situation de la. So we have a situation where, it just needs to be tackled right away. So you just go and tackle it. And, whereas in this, it's a slightly different type of situation in this matrix. The high importance, high decision time decisions, these are typically weighty decisions like, what home to buy. So you're in the home buying process. You've got your approvals for loans, etc., and you're not going looking for homes. But still, it's a very important decision, and so debating here is the right thing to do. So you should set aside lots of time to discuss, debate, and figure out what is the right decision to take, right? So, remember when you had your first phone and it was like the best thing ever, and 2 months later, you felt like, oh, it's just a phone, right? So what happens is we don't want to have that fade in our happiness, right? And so if you want to preserve your happiness, what you should do is you should try to take good decisions, try to get into this part of the matrix as much as possible, take a lot of good decisions, and also be in this part a little bit for maybe half an hour to 1 hour a day, where you just keep getting these things done. And hopefully you'll be able to stay in the high importance, low urgency part of the matrix for maybe the better part of your work week, more than 30 hours maybe, or 35 even. If you're working 60 hours a week or 80 hours a week, well, you have to scale it appropriately. I'm assuming a 40-hour week company rule. And hopefully you're getting a lot of things done. And so I would highly encourage you to pay attention to this nous avons la matrix. So we have this matrix, and I would highly encourage you to give this matrix due consideration. Nous avons and we have lots of other things as well in the talk. So please do attend the talk if you can. It is being presented to the IEEE Society and the ACM Society of Chennai. But it is of general interest not only to computer engineers and electrical and electronic engineers, but also to people in general. So thanks for watching. I hope you got a little something out of it, and see you guys again next time.